$100 a month. That's less than most people spend on subscriptions they forgot they signed up for. And yet, that exact amount, invested consistently, structured correctly, starting today, can generate real, lasting wealth over the course of your lifetime. Not theoretical wealth, not lottery ticket wealth. Actual, compounding, working while you sleep wealth. The reason most people never experience this isn't because they lack the money. It's because nobody ever showed them the system. Here's what I've learned after years of studying how ordinary people actually build financial security. The gap between people who have money and people who don't almost never comes down to income. It comes down to behavior, timing, and consistency. And $100 a month is enough to start building all three. Let me show you the math first, because this is the part that changes everything. $100 a month invested in a broad market index fund, earning the historical average return of around 7% annually after inflation, turns into roughly $121,000 over 30 years. Put in $200 a month, you're looking at over $240,000. That's not magic. That's compounding. And it's available to anyone willing to start. Most people see those numbers and think, yeah, but 30 years is a long time. What they miss is that the alternative is 30 years with nothing. But before a single dollar gets invested, there's a step most people skip, and it quietly sabotages everything that comes after. Financial leaks. The average household wastes between $300 and $500 a month on subscriptions, unused memberships, impulse purchases, and convenience spending they don't even notice. I'm not saying cut your coffee. I'm saying audit your last 60 days of bank statements with fresh eyes. When I did this for the first time, I found $180 a month leaving my account for things I genuinely could not name when I saw the charges. That money, redirected, becomes your wealth engine. Once you've stopped the bleeding, the next move before you touch any investment account is building a small buffer, not a full emergency fund, just 1 month of essential expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account. Most major online banks are offering 4 to 5% interest right now on these accounts. That's not going to make you rich, but it's going to keep a car repair or unexpected bill from wiping out your entire investment strategy the moment something goes sideways. This is the step that gives your investing a fighting chance to actually stay invested. Now, the core of what makes $100 a month work is where you put it. And here's where I'll be direct with you. Index funds are the answer for most people, and they've been the answer for decades. These are funds that simply track a broad market index, the S&P 500 being the most common, and hold tiny pieces of hundreds of companies at once. The expense ratios on some of these funds are as low as 0.03%. That means on every $1,000, you're paying 30 cents per year in fees. Compare that to an actively managed fund charging 1% or more, and over 30 years, that fee difference alone can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. The wealthy figured this out quietly a long time ago. And here's something that changed everything for a lot of new investors: fractional shares. 5 years ago, if you wanted to own stock in certain well-known companies, you needed hundreds of dollars just for a single share. Now, most major brokerages let you buy fractional shares for as little as $1. That means $100 a month can be distributed across a diversified set of quality investments immediately, regardless of what any individual share price is. The excuse of, "I can't afford the good stuff," is officially gone. Now here's where most financial content stops. They give you the investment strategy and leave you to figure out the rest. But the people I've seen actually build wealth on modest incomes? Almost all of them added a secondary income stream. Not a second job with 40 extra hours, but something lean. A skill they monetized on weekends. A digital product. A service offered to neighbors. One person I know started doing lawn care on Saturdays and funneled every dollar of it directly into her index fund account. She called it her investment-only income. Psychologically, because she never saw it as spending money, she never spent it. Within 3 years, she had contributed an extra $15,000 beyond her regular monthly amount. An extra $50 to $100 per month from a side activity, treated as untouchable investment capital, can genuinely cut your timeline in half. The automation principle is probably the single most underrated strategy in personal finance. Here's the reality. Willpower is finite, and financial discipline that depends on willpower will fail eventually. The fix is removing willpower from the equation entirely. Most brokerages allow automatic recurring investments. You set a date, set an amount, and the money moves without you touching it. On the first of every month before you've decided buy something you don't need. Before life has thrown anything at you, the investment has already happened. I've talked to people who automated $100 a month and genuinely forgot about it for 2 years. When they checked, they had over $2,500 plus returns sitting there. Automation turns intention into reality. Here's a legal loophole hiding in the tax code that most people are leaving completely untouched. Tax-advantaged accounts. If you have access to a 401k through an employer, contributions go in pre-tax, meaning every dollar you invest costs you less in take-home pay than you'd think. An IRA, individual retirement account, lets you invest up to $7,000 per year with either tax-free growth or tax-deferred growth, depending on the type. If your $100 a month is going into a Roth IRA, you're growing that money tax-free for decades. On a 30-year timeline, the tax savings alone can add up to more than the original contributions. This isn't a loophole in the shady sense. It's a tool that's been sitting in the tax code specifically to encourage this behavior, and most people never touch it. Now I need to say something uncomfortable about timing. Every month you wait to start costs you more than money. It costs you compounding time, and that's the one thing you genuinely cannot buy back. A 25-year-old who invests $100 a month until retirement will have significantly more than a 35-year-old doing the same thing, despite only contributing 10 extra years. The math on that difference isn't linear, it's exponential. The urgency here isn't fear-based, it's just arithmetic. One thing nobody talks about in wealth-building content is accountability. The people who stick with this process long enough for compounding to work almost always have some form of community around them. A forum, a friend doing the same thing, a partner tracking progress together. When I started taking my own financial habits seriously, I found one other person in my life who was on a similar path. Just having someone to check in with monthly. Not compare, not compete, just check in. Made a measurable difference in consistency. Find your person. Share your progress. It costs nothing, and it might be worth more than any single strategy on this list. The last piece is the one most financial content glosses over because it sounds too simple. Your identity. People who consistently build wealth don't think of themselves as people who are trying to save money. They think of themselves as investors. That identity shift changes small decisions throughout the day in ways that are impossible to fully measure, but absolutely real in their impact. When you see yourself as someone who builds wealth systematically, $100 a month stops feeling like a consolation prize. It starts feeling like a deliberate move in a long game you've already decided to win. Start today. Automate it tomorrow. Audit your spending this week. Open the account before the weekend. The strategies are simple. The math is on your side. And the only thing standing between where you are now and where compound interest can take you is the decision to begin.